What's up, everybody? What's up? Y'all gotta excuse me. I'm over here eating nuts. Pause. You can't say eating nuts without it sounding how it sounds. It sounds horrible even if you say pause. I'm eating a snack. I should just say that instead of saying I'm eating nuts because it sounds weird when you say that. Anyway, y'all, just got this video about swamp stories. Hit that thumbs up button. I'm gonna come back to my reaction. Just give me 1 second. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Another episode of Swamp Stories. For this video, we cover a story that will probably blow your mind. It's the tale of a man who struck it rich out of the mud and managed to throw it all away in the strangest way possible. Trust me, this one is good. But before we get into it, let me run the intro.
Shout out to Swamp Stories, y'all. Shout out to Swamp Stories. Subscribe to their channel. Really dope content. Swamp Stories. They got underground content. This dude really does his research too.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a city that no one thinks of unless we're talking about cheesesteaks or football.
That sounds good right now.
All we know is that it's freezing cold, the people are extremely rude, and the sports teams always come up short. But in all seriousness, Philly's biggest problem is the out-of-control crime. Most American cities are bad in one category, but Philly sits near the bottom in every single one.
10 carjackings in just over 24 hours across the city.
Tonight, Philadelphia has set a new grim record for homicides in a single year. There have now been 501 homicides in the city.
3 days, at least 8 businesses hit, and police, they are on the hunt for the person responsible.
Large, unruly crowds took over this intersection right here behind me very early this morning. Those same crowds also quickly swarmed police who were on scene.
Yes, Philadelphia is a wild, wild place and has been for a long time. It's exponentially worse than New York City in every single category, but for whatever reason gets none of the attention. However, that ends today, as you'll be able to see the nonsense that takes place in the streets of Philly. So let's dive right in. The story begins in the trenches of North Philadelphia, specifically 75th Avenue. This is where a man named Barry Reese, also known as Cassidy, was born and raised. Cassidy grew up extremely rough and used rapping as his way to make it out of the hood. In the early 2000s, he performed at rap battles all over the East Coast until he was noticed by a young producer named Swiss Beats. Swiss saw potential in Cassidy and decided to sign him to a 3-album deal in 2002. Right off the bat, his career was a success with hit songs like Hotel and Get No Better. He was already performing at award shows and his debut album went gold in 2004. Cassidy was the man, but behind closed doors was living a street life in North Philadelphia. In a place like North Philly, a famous rapper could not operate alone. So in order to protect himself, Cassidy always rolled with a young goon that he grew up with. This would be one of his childhood best friends named Abdul West. Abdul was raised in a good 2-parent home that ate together, prayed together 5 times a day, and always made sure his homework was done. Because of this, Abdul was a good student and actually graduated high school at 16 with a trade in plumbing. Despite being on a good path, Abdul
He's on a good path. Plumbers make really good money. I'm pretty sure they make a lot of money in places like Philadelphia. I wonder how he went rogue. Let's continue on and find out, shall we?
had a strange love for the streets that always caught his attention. Although home life was good, North Philly was always hectic and Abdul wanted to be a part of it. So when his homie Cassidy's career blew up, he volunteered to be his street enforcer. So in the streets of Philly, Cassidy was at the helm and by his side was Abdul, his brother Leek Moss, and another friend named Pretty Flock. Together, they were the guys in Philly. They had all the money and of course they had all of the girls as well. But with this kind of fame came a whole lot of envy. Many people they grew up with were jealous and were looking for any reason to try them. And that takes us to April 15th, 2005. It's a huge day for Cassidy as he's releasing his highly anticipated song, I'm a Hustler. So of course he's in great spirits until he receives an alarming phone call from Abdul. Abdul tells him that Pretty Flock was jumped by a group of guys they grew up with. The story goes that they caught him out doing errands and they jumped him for absolutely zero reason. So directly after, Flock called Abdul and told him to pull up ASAP. From there, Abdul hopped in his car and called Cassidy to let him know that he might need to bail him out of jail. So Abdul drove to Pretty Flock, picked him up, and they went around looking for the group of guys. The story goes that Abdul caught one of the guys outside of Rite Aid and put his paws on him. From all accounts, Abdul handled him like Tyron Woodley or John Jones. And just like that, there was a potential beef stewing in the streets of Philly. But the guys who started this quickly came to a realization. Do we really want to beef with Abdul West? Shh, probably not. So in order to prevent a beef, one of the guys calls Abdul and sees if they can make peace. At 6 p.m., a man named Desmond Hawkins calls Abdul's phone. He apologizes for what happened to Pretty Flock and he asks him if they can be cool. Abdul tells him to swing by Cassidy's house at 9 p.m. so they can talk it out. Desmond agrees and that's the plans for the night. So you're probably thinking, wow, Abdul is so mature and level-headed, but you'll see. Abdul drives to his house, grabs a blower, and heads over to Cassidy's. When he arrives, he gives him a rundown of the situation, and Cassidy thinks it's a good idea. But then Abdul tells him that he stashed a blower in the bushes next to his house, and that makes him skeptical. If they're coming over to make peace, why are you putting a blower in the bushes? It doesn't make any sense. But Abdul isn't the kind of guy you question, so Cassidy just leaves it alone. 9:30 p.m. Desmond Hawkins and his two friends arrive at Cassidy's house looking to make peace. When they arrive, Desmond honks his horn and Abdul walks outside. He walks up to Desmond's driver's side window and they begin having a conversation. Somehow it turns into an argument and Abdul walks over to the bushes. From there, he grabs his piece and allegedly makes a terrible decision.
Oh, damn, he killed him.
Abdul and Cassidy instantly vacate the area and decide to go out of town. Sadly, Desmond didn't deserve this in a million years, but this was Philadelphia's introduction to Abdul West. Abdul ruined a potentially great day for Cassidy as I'm a Hustler was major on the charts. So at the height of his career, Cassidy was paranoid about the event that happened right outside of his house. He knew that even Philadelphia police would eventually figure it out and that it was a matter of time. That time would come, June 17th, 2005. Philadelphia police announced that Cassidy and Abdul West are both wanted for the passing of Desmond Hawkins. This shocked the hip-hop world as Cassidy was becoming a major artist. He smartly turned himself in the same day and instantly his life came crashing down. The superstar rapper at the height of—
You done let some hood nigga. He done brought some— that's why you can't bring everybody from the hood with you, man. He even better off just hiring security, off-duty police officer to be his security instead of putting down somebody from the hood. That's a known tough guy. Now this dude, his rap career getting ready to take off. Now this dude done drug him into a damn murder. Career over with.
His career was now facing 25 to life. While on the other hand, Abdul would go on the run, but would eventually be found 2 weeks later in Ohio. Now we talk about the court cases, which are actually pretty interesting. This is because Cassidy and Abdul took two completely different routes on fighting them. The men in the car with Desmond told police that they didn't see Cassidy, but instead saw Abdul do it. And the only reason Cassidy was arrested is because it happened in front of his house, so police thought that he called the shot. The prosecutors had a weak case against Cassidy, so he could have easily taken it to trial and beaten it in the end. However, trials can take years and Cassidy was eager to get back to his career, so he ended up pleading to involuntary manslaughter and taking an 11-month sentence. How this qualifies as involuntary manslaughter is beyond me, but he figured that it was his best option. This way, his music career was guaranteed to return in under a year. On the other hand, Abdul decided to take his case to trial and test his luck. This was extremely risky, especially as there was 2 eyewitnesses, but Abdul knew something that the rest of the world didn't, and that would be that the 2 eyewitnesses would not testify in his trial. That's how feared he was in the streets. No one would dare testify against him in court. And because of this, he was able to beat his trial in 2007 and be released with 0 charges. So now Cassidy was a convicted felon and Abdul had no record. Of course, this isn't fair, but it also goes to show that you need to be careful who you hang around.
Why?
It can ruin your career. High school at 16 with a trade in plumbing. Despite being on a good
Hold up,
Despite being on a good path, Abdul had a strange love for—
I went back too far anyway. God damn. So the dude with the bright future, the rapper, ended up getting 11 months in jail. And he didn't do nothing. He probably was inside the house when it happened. The dude who actually did the actual crime with no future ended up not getting no jail time and going free, while Cassidy had to stay in jail. See what I told you? You gotta leave hood niggas alone, man. Once you get up, you can't bring everybody with you. Now this dude done drug him down. Now the dude done got off with murder and gone on about his business, while Cassidy in jail for a year. Damn, let me wind it back. Hold on. That's crazy. I mean, where did I leave off at? Hold up.
On the day he's released from the hospital, he decides to give Swiss Beats a call. Surprisingly, Swiss picks up the phone and even court. And because of this, he was able to beat his trial in 2007 and be released with 0 charges. So now Cassidy was a convicted felon and Abdul had no record. Of course, this isn't fair, but it also goes to show that you need to be careful who you hang around. It can ruin your career or possibly even end your life. Cassidy was lucky that it was only a year, but it still had some serious consequences. When Cassidy got home in 2006, his buzz just simply wasn't what it used to be. However, he still had a decent following and 1 album left with Swiss Beats. So on November 6, 2007, his final album under Swiss was released and it didn't do quite as well as expected. Because of this, he and Swiss went their separate ways and he started his own label called the Larceny Family in 2008. He funded it himself and of course made himself the main artist. But if you have a label, you probably need more than just yourself. Well, coincidentally, the start of Larceny Family was the same time that Ab came home. So Cassidy convinced him to become a rapper and to sign to his label. He promised him that he'd make him a star and that together they'd get to the millions. So Abdul agreed and signed on the dotted lines. His rap name would be AR Ab and the Larceny Family was off to the races.
Oh yeah, I heard him.
Cassidy underestimated the cost of starting a label and jump-starting a new career. And as a result, he prioritized his own career and AR Ab was kicked to the curb. During this process, Ab began getting frustrated and finally decided to go his separate ways. He felt like Cassidy got his hopes up for no reason and was wasting his time. Because of this, their relationship went sour and the former best friends were now at odds. Beef with Abdul was the last thing that Cassidy needed in his life. But thankfully, by this time, he had already moved out of Philly. He was living in New York, focused on getting his career back to the mainstream stage. On the other hand, Ab now had a major chip on his shoulder and wanted to prove to Cassidy that he could make it himself. He now understood that running a career took a lot of money, and that became his main focus. He used to be the bully tough guy, but now he was only focused on stacking money and hustling. But he didn't have any money to start with, so he began by finessing and robbing plugs, a very dangerous game in Philly. This would eventually catch up to him, but in the meantime, this is how he got his start. He flipped his work in the streets over and over until he was dealing with some serious pape. And from there, he wanted to turn it into a whole operation. In 2009, Ab started a gang called the Original Block Hustlers, also known as OBH. OBH started as a family, as everyone who joined was already in Ab's circle. You have his brother Leek Moss, Dark Low, and Kaz, who are known as the original members. Well, right off the bat, OBH hit the streets hard, moving weight, finessing plugs, and eliminating any competition. Ab's goal was to take over Philadelphia's underground market and achieve this by any means. And after stacking enough cash, he decided to start his own music label. A label called the Original Block Hustlers, also known as OBH. Now, why would you name your label the same as your gang? But whatever. He wasn't thinking it through, but on the bright side, the music started to pick up. He dropped back-to-back mixtapes and singles that did pretty well in the streets of Philly, but his ways of finessing plugs would eventually catch up to him. September 27th, 2010. It's another Monday afternoon in Philly, and AR Ab is outside on the block getting money. At 4 p.m., he gets a call from a plug that he met a couple weeks ago. The plug tells him he has a play for him and to come pick him up and take him down to Kensington. If you're unfamiliar, Kensington is pretty much Skid Row on steroids, so you know there's money to be made. So Ab hops in his car, goes to pick up his new Connect, and heads over to Kensington. During the car ride, Ab and the man get to know each other, and they realize that Ab grew up with his baby mama. So they're laughing when Ab stops at a stop sign just a block away from the designated location. As he's talking, all he hears is bang. He quickly realizes he's hit up and he looks over to see if his new friend is okay. But the man had already exited the car and was nowhere to be found.
Oh, damn.
So Ab quickly speeds off to the nearest hospital. While he's speeding through traffic, he calls his cousin and tells him to meet him at the emergency room. So he pulls up to the hospital parking lot and tells his cousin to come pick up his car. He then tells him to throw away his phone so his girlfriend can't see his messages. From there, he hobbles to the emergency room where thankfully they save his life. It turns out that he was hit 10 times, which is a miracle that he made it. And the craziest part is that he says his biggest concern was his girl going through his phone. This guy is something else, wow. And believe it or not, the story gets even better. Once his cousin returned with his phone, he posted a picture on Twitter letting the world know that he's still alive. While recovering in the hospital, Ab gets a call from Swizz Beatz. Swizz remembered him from studio sessions with Cassidy and he wanted to send him his best wishes. On top of this, he tells him that he wants to work with him and bring him together with his new artist Meek Mill. Ab is excited as this could be huge for his career, but he's also not.
Wait a minute, Swizz Beatz discovered Meek Mill? I did not know that. Did y'all know that? Swizz Beatz was the one who discovered Meek Mill? I mean, I guess, like how did he get hooked up with Swizz Beatz?
Fully trusting his word. Regardless, on the day he's released from the hospital, he decides to give Swizz Beatz a call. Surprisingly, Swizz picks up the phone and even drives to Philly the same day. And on this same night, he goes to the studio with Meek Mill and AR-Ab. This just goes to show the character of Swizz Beatz, a true man of his word. And even though Ab and Meek knew each other from the streets, bringing them together in the studio was a big deal. From this session, they released their first song together on November 11th, 2010. So after nearly dying, Ab's life trajectory was on the up and up. So much so that after this song, Birdman actually wanted to sign him to Cash Money. He even flew to Philadelphia and handed Ab $200,000 as a bribe to sign. However, after his experience with Cassidy, Ab had no intentions of ever signing with a label. So he said no to Birdman but kept the $200,000. In retrospect, this was an idiotic move as Ab could have been the final piece to Cash Money Records. But not only did he fumble this opportunity, but he also kept the cash and ruined their relationship with Birdman.
I don't know though, because they ain't got too many artists that they released from Cash Money and Young Money. They had a lot of artists signed, but only people who really they put focus on was Nicki Minaj and Drake. I don't think Drake is signed with Young Money no more, but when he first came out, they had like a whole crew. Lil Wayne and Cash Money. I remember people had those hoodies. They had the hoodies, YMCMB. Yeah. So that might have been a good move because Birdman don't really be releasing his artists like that.
To some people, he was too real for the industry, but in my mind, he was just showing his dumb street ways. On the other hand, Meek Mill took the complete opposite route. Shortly after this, he signed with Rick Ross's MMG and got straight to the millions. So now, while AR-Ab could have easily been the face of Philly, it was now Meek Mill. So Abdul chose to keep living his life in the streets of Philadelphia. For the next couple of years, he released independent mixtapes and songs and hustled in the streets with OHB. And although it wasn't mainstream success, his songs did make waves on the East Coast. But then in 2012, things would come crashing down. Abdul lost his mother, grandmother, and was arrested in the same month. After accidentally selling to an undercover cop, his house was raided and they found all kinds of substances. This ultimately landed him a 3-year prison sentence on April 13th, 2013. And although he was always cool, calm, and collected, this right here made him panic. He had seen what a prison sentence did to Cassidy's career and he didn't want this for himself. So he pleaded for the judge to give him an opportunity to shave off some time. So in exchange for a year off his sentence, he agreed to speak at schools and do community service.
We wanted to go talk to the kids and, go to the Vision Quest, talk to the troubled youth. And I just left talking to a middle school and elementary school. I cleaned a couple playgrounds up and all that. We just doing everything we can, man, help the community out, man. Show these people now more of an asset on the streets than in jail, you know what I'm saying? Like, I find these left to turn myself in. Probably gonna do a couple more songs. I did some things in my past. Wish, I can turn back the end of time, but I can't. You know what I'm saying? Just caught up to me, so.
Now things were looking better. He only had to do a year and a half, plus he had a bunch of unreleased music. A couple of
I
these
gotta check out some. I've heard of ARAB. I've heard of that name before. So he has some buzz, but I've never heard any of his music though.
songs like Riviera Riding and All I Got Is Me became East Coast hits. So when Ab was released in October of 2014, he came home to a bigger fan base than ever before. And in the summer of 2015, things would be taken to the next level for an unexpected reason. If you can remember, this is when Meek Mill dissed Drake on Twitter because he didn't promote his album. In the tweet, he said that Drake didn't write his verse on Rico and ended up posting the original track. Drake was obviously upset, so a week later he released his Meek Mill diss song called Back to Back. In the song, Drake says, "I drove here in the Wraith playing AR-AB." This was major for Ab as it led to many people looking him up on Google, but it also put him in a strange position. He just got shouted out by the biggest rapper in the world, but he also has to side with his friend Meek. Right? A week later, he made an appearance on Vlad TV where he stated that Drake went harder and that he was disappointed in Meek's response.
After I heard, I'm thinking like, this can't be it. You know what I'm saying? You know, Meek come from Philly streets. I'm thinking like, you know what I mean? There was gonna be some more than that. You know what I mean? I was kind of, kind of a little disappointed. You know what I'm saying? That was corny. A lot of people thought it was corny. A lot of people thought it was trash. A lot of people thought like Meek lost.
So Back to Back, you thought it was a crazy diss song.
Yeah.
When Meek saw the interview, he was pissed. Ab was just keeping it real, but in Meek's mind, he should have had its back no matter what. So the next day at his show, he yelled, "F*** AR-AB."
Oh wow.
Of course, Ab felt disrespected and he dropped his own back-to-back just a couple days later. In the song, he says that Meek Mill is too scared to diss him on a song and that his artist O'Malley is the softest one on Dream Chasers. Oh, and he also opens the song with this, and you guys know what he's talking about.
I caught a body for I wrote a rap. You rather hold a mic or rather hold a Mac?
After this, Meek would leave it alone, but AR-AB would milk the situation till the dawn of time. Every time he was in front of a camera, he would begin talking about it.
No, quick question. They could be the king of the radio and the rap shit. You don't worry about all that. Fuck you all got that, the streets. I'm in the streets. That's where you get your love from. I run the mud, man. You better know that. You got the mud, people. This Meek beef, man. Like, what's up with that, man?
Philadelphia dudes is crazy. You know what I'm saying? They really Philadelphia dudes are really about their life. You know, I got a story I'll tell y'all after the video about my sister dating a guy from Philly.
Man, I kill people for real. Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he physically dead? No, he's not. There ain't no beef then. We got real killers that kill.
Despite saying there's no beef, Ab would later admit that things got bloody behind closed doors.
It got bloody behind the scenes, man. You know what I'm saying? My got shot behind the scenes. They got roll in the streets with us behind the scenes. You dig what I'm saying?
Thankfully though, in the same interview, Ab said that he got on the phone with Meek for 4 hours to squash the beef.
After all that, we still managed to squash it though, like on the tickets. It was never me and him. We talked on the phone for like 4 hours and shit. I said, damn, like, I asked him, I said, man, did I ever disrespect you? He was like, no.
Overall, all this drama brought a ton of attention to AR-AB, especially after the Vlad interviews. And for whatever reason, he got addicted to the attention and began telling everything in all kinds of interviews. While he and his OBH gang are committing serious crimes in the streets, he began telling it all to the world. He told the world what he does, what his OBH associates do, and where you can find them. No, like I've never seen anything like this before.
Like, we got Allegheny, we got Area, we got 18th Street, we got like from the 20th Street all the way to Broad Street. It's an epidemic. I want to start branching off on the other side. We might take a block on the other side of Broad Street. Over there too. It's an epidemic. I might do some work out there. I'm thinking about taking Clearfield over. I'm thinking about taking Clearfield over. And I might cross. We already crossed Pike Street already, right? Oh, we already down to Butler Street. That's Pike Street. We already down to Pike Street now. So we on 20th Street. I'm thinking about going to 10th Street. We already going to Broad. We thinking about going all the way to 10th Street now. We think about crossing Clearfield, because nobody gonna do nothing about it anyway once we get over there. I put work out there. Anybody wanna put work out there, what they gonna do? They gonna call everybody's phone and
why did he do this on an interview? This is so crazy.
I love him, man, Bryce.
Black men are not good at being criminals, man. We try to be criminals, but we're not good at it. Why would he do that on camera?
Quit rap and become a shooter. Like Bryce, I don't even want to rap. Like a big Brock back there. Bryce, you don't rap no more. You just want to be a shooter, man.
Free smoke.
I ain't gonna lie, you smell blood, man. My man Bryce caught his first shooting. Was like, all right. When he caught his first shooting, he said, he put down the fucking notepad and he said, Ab, I love the way this shit feel. I just want to shoot.
Put this fool in jail. Why would you do that? And then he dragging other people in. He just
Free smoke.
As you can tell, he had an obsession with telling the world what he was doing in the streets. Why he was doing this, I really can't figure it out.
Wow,
If there's
exactly.
any psychologists in the comments, please let me know. So now let's jump into the crazy story of OBH. While Ab was at the height of his rap career, he was 100% focused on the expansion of OBH in the streets. He wanted to be the new BMF, except without hiding anything they're doing. His philosophy was that the more people that join along, the better, which really wasn't smart. Instead of hiring specialists like BMF, Ab was willing to take anyone off the streets. And I mean literally anyone. You'll see what I'm talking about. The first person he recruited is a truck driver named Richard Hoover, also known as Boogie. Boogie was kind of like the Milk 7-4 of the North Philly trenches, but instead of sitting on his balcony, he started a trucking company in Las Vegas called Team Transportation LLC. This is what enticed Ab. Boogie could move weight from the West Coast back to Philly. So by 2017, Boogie was working full-time for Ab, moving weight between California and Philly. This quickly became a major operation, racking in hundreds of thousands of dollars.
wow.
With all this weight, AR Ab needed somewhere to stash it. Ab purchased 4 stash houses in Philly, all under his name.
Oh boy.
But the main stash house was called The Mansion, and this is where all of the OBH.
Why would he put the shit in his damn name? I see why this is called the dumbest rapper. Rap's dumbest criminal. And on top of that, he had a career that was getting ready to take off. He got shouted out by Drake. Why is he doing? Okay, let's continue on.
members met up and discussed business. How I know this? Well, Ab took a picture in front of the house and posted it on Instagram with the caption "Trap House." This dude was clearly not scared of rivals or police, but the mansion wasn't his only spot, as he had 3 other luxury apartments located in the Philly area. For example, you have the Treaty penthouses where Ab stayed himself. All of the members were in and out of the 4 properties, moving weight on a daily basis. At any given moment, there was at least $500,000 at each property. And with all of this wealth, Ab knew that he couldn't be the only one to protect it. So that's when he recruited a new member that he knew would put in work. This would be a man named Abbas Parker, also known as Skinny Me. Skinny didn't grow up with any OHB members, however his brother was cellmates with Ab in prison. So while Ab was in prison, his cellmate told him to get in touch with his brother once he was released. This is because Skinny was a talented rapper and his brother wanted him to get signed. But Ab heard about his stories in the streets and he knew that he was a certified stepper. All of this made him a top candidate for an OBH member. He was a rapper and a stepper at the same time. Skinny was a wild dude in the streets, and his actions would be super unpredictable. And that takes us to September 11th, 2017. It's another Monday in North Philly, and Skinny is hanging out on 22nd in Lehigh. At 2 p.m., he's set to meet with a business associate named Sherman Williams. Allegedly, Sherman is owed money by Skinny and is going over to collect it. Little does Sherman know, Skinny Me is not the kind of guy you do fair business with. Well, after paying a traffic ticket downtown, Sherman heads to North Philly to meet with him. At 2:30, he arrives on the corner and removes his helmet to talk. Somehow the conversation turns into an argument and Skinny Me loses his cool.
Right there on the corner.
Skinny instantly runs to his white Jeep and drops his phone in the process. He then hops in the car and speeds off to the OHB mansion.
Senator Brown says her son, Sherman Williams, was finally on the right track in life.
You just committed a murder and you drop your phone as you leave. And plus it was in Brock. Oh my God. See what I'm saying? Black men, we're not good at being criminals. That's why I don't see how we have that jacket. Like we inherently are criminals. We have no clue on what we're doing when it comes to being criminals.
He was turning himself completely around, and he wasn't dealing with the same people that he was dealing with.
Brown says on Monday, September 11th, Williams was on his way back from paying his parking tickets. She says he called her at about 5 p.m. to check in.
We had a conversation for about 10 minutes.
That was the last time she talked to him. About 30 minutes later, the 29-year-old was shot multiple times along 22nd Street between Somerset and Lehigh Streets in North Philadelphia.
From what I can understand, him and some guy had some words. But I don't know what words was so powerful for this person to shoot my son in the back twice.
Williams died less than 2 hours later. The city of Philadelphia is offering up to $20,000 in reward money for the arrest and conviction of the person responsible. All you have to do is call the Citizens Crime Commission at 215-546-TIPS. All calls will remain anonymous.
Damn, that's sad.
When he arrives, he realizes he doesn't have his phone, so he searches the car but can't find anything. Skinny knew that he messed up, and he was hoping that police would not find the phone. But what he failed to realize is that Philly has cameras everywhere and the car's plates were on. Because of this, police found that the car was registered to Abdul West at the OHB mansion address. Police were excited and they figured that they had finally got him.
Why in the world would you...
So just the next day, the OHB mansion was raided, but when police arrived, no one was home, which was very unusual for the mansion.
Why would you not take the license plates off the damn car?
During the raid, they found $87,000 in cash and all kinds of illicit items. However, in Pennsylvania, you can't raid someone for one crime and then use the findings to charge them with something else. So no one was charged for anything, and police were unsure of who did this to Sherman Williams. However, Skinny's decision still had some serious implications, as the police now knew what AR Ab had going on. So after the raid, they began following him and tracking his every move, even allowing him to commit crimes. The raid should have been a huge wake-up call for Ab, but he was either slow or he didn't even care about the consequences. It's almost like he took Philadelphia police as a joke.
I opt for both. His ass is slow. He's still out there doing it, and you just got raided. You supposed to lay low and you got a rap career.
Especially after this next move. After Skinny's incident, Ab decided to reward him by introducing him to the world on a major hip-hop channel.
Y'all know who he is. This is my little brother, Skinny Me. The notorious Skinny Me. That boy about 130 pounds of horror. I know this for a fact, man. And guess what? This is what I like about Skinny Me. This is what I like about Skinny Me music, man. It's just raw. And it's like reality rap. The mafia. Skinny Me go through a situation, and guess what? It's gonna be in the song. He's gonna make a song about it the same day. So I know that's why I feel it so much. I know it. When he said I killed the and I did that, I seen him do it. I seen him do it. I seen him do it. When he said somebody try to drop on me, not wrestling out for the gun, man, and I seen him do it. I know he did it for a fact. I believe we're gonna make millions of dollars off of Skinny Me.
Fucking money, original black hustlers.
And one of the newest members.
He just confessed He just confessed that he did the murder. He just confessed on camera as witness to the. This dude is stupid. He just confessed on camera as a witness to at that time an ongoing investigation into a murder, and he just confessed.
But most
he just confessed him. I witnessed him do it. He just.
Vital member. Key member. He's from Ohio.
This was not a smart move, but Skinny Me was eating it all up. Although he wasn't originally from Philly, he was becoming a star in their streets. His rap career was also taking off because people now knew that he was living his raps. But on the other hand, Philadelphia police were all over him as he became their new target. OHB had the streets on lock, and AR Ab would keep making boneheaded decisions. Instead of focusing on covering his tracks, his main concern was eliminating competition in the streets. In particular, he was upset with a former friend who was now selling in the same North Philly market. This would be a man named Robert Johnson, a young homie of Ab who used to hustle for him back in 2011. During this time, Robert was arrested and sentenced to 7 years in prison, all allegedly behind OBH. Once he was released, he wanted no parts of the streets, so he took a completely different route. He was taking classes to become a personal trainer and was trying his best to stay out of trouble. However, life as a convicted felon is hard, and it's believed that he began hustling again in North Philly, but this time without AR Ab. Once Abdul found out, he was pissed, as he was a self-proclaimed extortionist. He needed to be in control of everyone, and he used fear to get his way. However, Robert Johnson was no longer going for this, and AR Ab was livid. No one had ever stood up to him like this, like who would go against Philly's top goon. In the old days, Ab would have handled this himself, but now he had guys to call on. Skinny was laying low after his recent incident, so Ab called on a brand new member. This would be a man named Dantes Stewart, also known as Taz. Taz was a hustler for another gang in Philly, but he had recently fallen out with them. And after the fallout, he befriended OBH Dark Low and inquired on being an OBH hustler himself. He told him that he's down bad and willing to do anything to get money with OBH. Low knew that Ab was willing to accept any new members, so he brought him to his house. There, Taz and Ab discussed potentially joining OBH and what that would entail. He pretty much said you have to do anything I tell you, whether that's stepping on rivals or selling whatever. Taz agreed and told him he'd do anything for him. So Ab shook his hand and told him that in order to become a member, you must stay at the OBH mansion for 2 weeks. There you'll meet members and learn the ins and outs of the operation. Letting someone you just met into your illegal operation might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Taz could be relaying information
You think? Jesus Christ.
To his former gang, he could be plotting to rob, or he could be an undercover officer. AR Ab was not thinking it through. But after 2 weeks at the mansion, Taz officially became an OHB member. He immediately hit the streets and began hustling like never before. He was so geeked that after just 4 weeks of being a member, he got an OBH tattoo on his neck. This was to show his fellow members his loyalty and to let them know he'll never snitch on them.
Wow.
Dantes Stewart was a wild card to say the least. Well, this is the guy that Ab called to eliminate Robert Johnson. And that takes us to October 12th, 2017. Ooh, hey.
What happened?
It's a month after the raid and AR Ab is back at the mansion with some fellow members. At 12:30 p.m. he calls Taz and tells him to come to the mansion ASAP. So Taz immediately pulls up and sits down with Ab. Ab shows him a picture of Robert Johnson and tells him to follow instructions. He tells him to go on Instagram and to DM Robert to make a deal. He then tells him that when they meet up, he needs to eliminate him. Taz only joined OBH for money, so he really doesn't want to do this. So he makes up an excuse and tells Ab that he doesn't have an Instagram. Ab believes he's being honest, so he comes up with a solution. He tells him to call his baby mama and have her come over to the mansion. When she arrives, he asks for her phone and hands it over to Taz. From his baby mama's account, he tells him to DM Robert and tell him who he is. He tells him to tell Robert that he heard he moves weight and he wants to buy some. Once Robert responds, he tells him to exchange phone numbers and now they're locked in. At this point, Taz has no excuses and he has to do it. So Taz and Robert agree to meet up later in the day. Taz really doesn't want to do this.
Wow.
Regardless, at 8 p.m., Taz meets up with Robert to complete the job. So Taz gets out of his car and walks up to Robert's window. He reaches for his waistband, but he can't get himself to do it. So instead, he simply makes the transaction and shakes Robert's hand. He then returns to the OBH mansion, not sure what to expect. He tells Ab that he simply couldn't get himself to do it. Ab is pissed, so he slaps the table and says, "What? Why?" So Taz tells him that he simply has no idea why he's doing it. Ab responds by saying that Robert is playing both sides of the fence and it can't continue. This response doesn't satisfy Taz, so Ab decides to throw in a perk. He tells him that if you do this, I'll make sure you're straight. No further details are discussed as this was all Taz needed to hear. Attempt number 2. October 14th, 2017. Taz texts Robert and tells him that he needs to re-up. Robert responds and tells him that he's busy at the club and he can't meet up until after 2 a.m. So the two agree to meet up in the parking lot outside the club after he's done. In the meantime, Taz begins to ponder his decision, so he calls up a fellow member for reassurance. The member, whose name is OBH Birdo, is ecstatic and he actually volunteers to go with him. So at 2 a.m., Taz hops in his car, picks up Birdo, and they head to the club parking lot. That's where they wait until 3:30 a.m. when Robert finally leaves the club. They text him to meet them in the parking lot and that they'll get out of the car when he arrives. So Robert walks towards their car and that's when Taz hops out.
Oh, damn. Taz did it.
He hops back in his car, speeds away, and heads directly to Birdo's. When he arrives, he hands his blower to Birdo and tells him to put it in a shoebox in his closet. Birdo's confused and says, "Why don't you just go throw it away?" Taz responds by saying, "I'm gonna come back to pick it up in 2 weeks, don't even worry about it." This doesn't make any sense, but I'll continue. When Taz gets home, he texts Ab and says touchdown. He then puts his phone away and goes to sleep.
Oh, Lord.
When Taz wakes up, he notices that Ab liked the message and is directing him to go to Braz's house. Braz is an OG OHB member who's in charge of one of the stash houses.
Oh, wow.
So Taz goes to his house excited to receive a huge cash reward. Or at least that's what he was expecting. When he arrives to Braz's house, he's handed a duffel bag full of product to sell. As he's driving away, he realizes that there's no cash in the bag. This can't possibly be it, right? But no, there was no reward at all, just a bunch of new product for Taz to go sell.
Wow.
Taz wasn't happy to say the least, but there's nothing you can do when you're dealing with a guy like AR Ab. Well, 2 weeks go by and Taz returns to Birdo's to pick up his gun like he promised. He didn't feel safe on the streets without it, and AR Ab didn't supply him with a new one. So Taz was now riding around with evidence of a first-degree homicide on his waistband. As you would expect, this would not go well. November 11th, 2017. While speeding through North Philly, Taz is pulled over by Philadelphia police. For whatever reason, Taz consents to a search and police look through his car. They find his blower under the seat, which is a misdemeanor in the state of Pennsylvania. In Taz's mind, he might have to do a couple months, but it's not that serious. However, after searching the serial number, police find out that it's stolen, and they also match it to the incident of Robert Johnson. And just like that, Taz is arrested for first-degree homicide.
Dummy!
Once Ab gets the news, he shrugs his shoulders and pretty much accepts that Taz is gone for life. And because the evidence is overwhelming, he figures that paying for his lawyer is a waste of money.
Wow.
This was a cold move by Ab, and also a dumb one as well. As you would expect, Taz felt betrayed. Like, I put my freedom on the line for you, and you didn't even pay me nor pay for my lawyer. The street codes are one thing, but you can't betray somebody like this and expect them to be in your good graces. So from behind bars, Taz would get his revenge, but we're not quite there yet.
Wow. Okay, I'm checking out, guys.
After this, OBH...
So if y'all want to watch the rest of it, go to Swamp Stories. Swamp Stories, really good content. He does his research. I don't see how he know all this stuff. I guess you can Google it, but it's only so much you can Google. You know, but AR Rab, whatever his name is, I've heard that name before. I've heard him before. I didn't know he was in the streets like that and all kind of murder stuff. So I am gonna come back and continue watching till the end and see what happens. I am high and I'm tired. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back and watch the rest of it. But if y'all want to see it now, go to Swamp Stories and y'all can watch it right now without me talking over the shit. Okay. Yeah, man. So what y'all think, man? Dude was not too smart. Homeboy was a nincompoop. Do people even say that anymore? Nincompoop. Anyway, what y'all think about that, man? And have y'all ever heard his music? The name, I've heard his name before, but I never heard his music. Is he a pretty decent rapper? Let me know what y'all think, man. Leave it in the comments. Subscribe to Charles and Ed's World. Hit that thumbs up button. Appreciate it.